All right, welcome to the Bowling Fools channel. If you do remember from a couple days ago, I drill prepped the dark side that I had for the broski, because I gave it to the broski. And he has now officially filled up the holes with the plug material. So we have the finger holes plugged up and we have the thumb hole plugged up. So my job is to cut these down with the plug cutter and get them flush to the ball. And that's what I'm going to showcase today. I know it's been a long time coming, but we finally have a ball to plug, and I can show you how well the jig works with cutting down plugs. All right, so step one is to make sure that your drill press and jig are properly zeroed out. This is a very important thing you need to do, especially when cutting down plugs on a bowling ball, because if you are not zeroed out, this plug cutter will put gouges into your bowling ball. So we have to make sure that we do that. So you have 0 on the x-axis and 0 on the y-axis. And if you do have the Vivo or milling table like I have showcased here, one thing you want to do is make sure that these are really tight. Okay, so you tighten them by hand, and I would even get like some pliers, I just tighten them a little bit more than necessary. Same thing with this one over here. Just tighten that one down right here. A little bit more with your fingers, and that way when you do cut the plug, there might be a little bit of vibration going on with the whole jig here, but to minimize that, we make sure that this is nice and tight. So when you tighten these two and that one down, it really prevents this whole jig from vibrating, and when it vibrates, this wheel can kind of turn a little bit. Okay, so that's one thing we don't want, is we don't want this vibrating loose on the X or Y axis as you're cutting down a plug. Because what that means is if you were zeroed out and then all of a sudden now the table's moved and now you're not zeroed out, now come the gouges in your bowling ball. Ask me how I know that. Yeah, so early testing with this mill table, and then I watched the video afterwards. I was like, oh, okay, this thing's turning. So if you have this milling table, make sure those are tight and you should be good to go. So I've already zeroed this out. And like I said, when you bring a bowling ball down, you want no gap. Like in my other videos, I showed how to zero it out. So just bring this down till it touches the bowling ball, and you will have no air or no light should be seen when you rest it on top of the bowling ball. And then another thing too is if you have a drill press table where you can adjust the height of the actual table up and down, bring the table up so that you have just a little bit of distance right there between the plug cutter and the ball. Right, so my drill press has a 6-inch quill travel. I can bring this table all the way down, and this press will go all the way down to 6 inches. When we're cutting plugs, we don't need to go down that far. Right, so if you went down far, you'd probably get quite a lot of vibration. That's one thing we're trying to minimize here. And so the little bit of gap you have, the better. Also, one thing too, if you're using a drill press, make sure that your table is on nice and tight, right? So it's not coming loose. And also the bottom here too. Make sure these are super tight. The table's not going to go forward and back on you as you're moving anything. You want this table and this jig to be rock solid when you're cutting down those plugs. So another thing you'll need too is a catch to catch all the debris when you're cutting down the plug, because unlike a drill bit, when you're drilling down, you can get the shop vac and easily vacuum it out. But when you're using a plug cutter, all the material spreads out everywhere. So the broski got this on Etsy, I believe. There's a guy that makes this. It says Arnsey Designs. So he makes this on a 3D printer. I don't know how much he paid for it, but it was a lot cheaper than what you can get normally. But as long as you can make something like this yourself, all you're looking to do is to just catch the material so that it doesn't make a mess out of your whole drilling area, because it will make a mess. This doesn't work super good It doesn't, it has holes on the inside, if you can see, but it doesn't vacuum up every little thing. So it's designed to put your shop vac on this attachment right here, but through trial it doesn't really work that well. So what it does work well with is just keeping all that material locked in there, so it's not going to go anywhere, and I can just lift this off when I'm done and vacuum out the whole inside there. All right, I got everything locked down, zeroed out. And you just want to slowly go down until you start shaping that plug material to the curvature of the plug cutter. And as you can see, quite a bit of a mess is made. That white part that's coming off is the foam. It's called the dam. So when Broski plugs this up, it's liquid at first, and then it hardens up. And that dam keeps that liquid in place there. And you can put some pressure on there. I'll stop. I don't know if you can see that gigantic mess that's being made in there. And I'll vacuum that up. You could probably even make like a cheap cardboard thing just to keep the material in there. So as you saw, when I slowed the RPM, it didn't really do that well. So I want to say the higher the RPM, the easier it is to cut. Maybe a little bit less vibration going on. But 440 seems to do good. Maybe next time I'll try maybe 510. I'll see what that does. But we got the job done. And there we go. So I cut the plugs down flush, and this is just part of the dam material that I'll sand off, just because it was a little bit wider than the plug cutter, so I didn't get all of it. But this is easy to just take that off. So yeah, I got it pretty flush. And that's it. So even with a little bit of the vibration, remember if you have an actual mill press is going to be a little bit more stable than a drill press like this. Drill presses like this are not really designed to be cutting plugs on a bowling ball, but it works pretty good. And just remember the distance you have from the plug cutter to the ball, you want it to be very minimal. I probably could have brought the table up a little bit more, but the further you bring this down, the more vibration you're going to get with that quill. So that's it. Worked pretty good. And cut flush. And like I said, one of the most important things is to make sure the XY table does not move one bit, does not vibrate left or right or forward and back as you're drilling this, and you should be good. All right, so we got some Goo Gone, and we're going to get this off all the sticky residue. And instead of using my towel, I'm going to just use a shop towel here. And you can already see it's already starting to come off. Pretty cool. All right, Goo Gone says it's surface safe, so hopefully it doesn't do any damage to the ball here. And there you go. So we've got the plugs cut down. And like I said, you can see where the plug cutter hit the ball a little bit, and that's okay. Because once that hits the ball, you know that it's completely flush. The plugs are completely flush. Then I'll put this on a ball spinner with some sanding paper or sanding discs and get it all smoothed out where you can't even see those. You can't even see where the plug cutter hit the ball. All right, so I got the ball on the spinner. And if you guys do have a spinner, this definitely helps out. I think the spinner is one of the few items that you need to get if you're going to be doing your own stuff. It helps out dramatically. You can get one of these containers to put it in. You get these at Costco for I think under 10 bucks. And that way it prevents it from splashing out all over the place. So I've got a couple sanding discs. I've got 1,000. I'm going to start with 1,000 here. And what you want to do is just get some water, splash some water on here and the pad on the ball. You don't want to be doing this dry. And you're going to sand it until you get it flush and you don't see any of these plug cutter marks anymore. And then just get the ball a little wet. And slight pressure, I'd say a couple pounds of pressure on there. It's going to get a little warm. You can see that. It's working. And your pad will get caked a little bit. It's okay, you're not going to be doing this that long. We'll probably go a little bit more. I got a fresh 1000 pad here. And like I said, just a couple pounds of pressure on here, no more than 5. Just keep wetting that pad. There we go. Looking pretty good. Looks like there was some kind of bubble in his plug. So I guess there was one little bubble as I cut down. Shouldn't be too much of a factor though. So I don't do the plugging. That's completely another area of pro shop stuff that I don't dabble with. It's just... that stuff can add up in costs, and I've already spent a lot of money on all my stuff. It's not one area I really want to tackle. I'm personally not buying a bunch of used balls, but the broski is, and that's why he decided to get into that and start learning that. So there you go. Nice and flush, and we can always bring the surface up too and polish the ball, whatever you want to do. And there you go. All right, looking pretty good. Very flush. No lines from the plug cutter at all. Nice and flush on there. Looking good. So the next step we're going to do is put his layout down in there and drill a new layout for him. All right, so if you like watching this video, if you have any questions about anything that I did today as far as cutting the plugs, sanding the plugs, using the jig, using the drill bit, using the plug cutter, anything I did today, leave a comment down below. Feel free to like, comment, subscribe, and thanks for watching, everybody. See you in the next video.